So what we want to understand is the analytics, the why. Why do people buy things, right? So before we get to that why, let's start with the process of development of a product or a service. And I'm going to interchange product and service in our discussion a little bit. The first part is what, okay? We want to know what first. Now, what is the product? What is the service? So that's how we want to understand that. So we'll use product and service interchangeable. Now, there are some nuances to marketing a product versus a service. Generally speaking, the basic fundamentals apply though, okay? So now let's start with what? What is our product? What is our service? Now, when I say what is our product, what is our service, we also want to know what is our USP, which stands for unique selling proposition. So what makes our product and service so different that someone would want to buy it? That's going to be key. What makes our product and service so different that someone's going to buy that? We call that differentiation. We want to be different. Do you know when you go on Amazon, you look up a product and you see like 20 different results, all for the same product? Well, as a consumer, what do you start to do? You start to try to find the differences between those. Maybe one costs less. Maybe one ships faster. Maybe one return is better. Maybe one has 1,000 5-star reviews and one doesn't, right? So you're looking for that difference. And that difference is key. That's what separates us from our competition. Okay, now, after we know what product or service we have, after we know why we're different and we can start explaining that, what is the next thing we should really understand? Okay, why is good. We're going to hold that thought, but there's one first before why that I want to talk about. How about the who? Right? Okay, the who is next. Why is the who next? Because your target is valuable. You have to understand who your target market is. Now, it doesn't matter how great your product is. It doesn't matter how great your service is. If you're not targeting the right who, they're not going to buy it. You can have the best skateboard ever made, right? And everyone knows what a skateboard is, right? Now, I had a skateboard when I was younger. I didn't do it in my teenage years, but maybe I want to start skateboarding now. I don't know. Maybe it's something I want to do, because I find this incredible skateboard that goes fast, it's smooth, it's more balanced and all that. I might not be the perfect target for your skateboard. I might try it, I might be adventurous, but you're better off taking that skateboard and finding the right who for that skateboard. Who will buy that? You know what your product is, you know what your USP is, you know what makes you different. Now you got to find the who. Who is the target for that particular product? Now, that target gets drilled down into what we call segments. And those segments get drilled down even further into what we call personas. Okay? So at the very top, it might be everybody who could ride a skateboard. That's a target. Maybe the segments are everybody who can ride a skateboard under the ages of 30, and everybody who could ride a skateboard for under the ages of 30 that do it for fun and that do it for professional, let's say, right? So now we're breaking that down a little bit. So these, if you think of it, what's happening, if you build it out, there's the target, then there becomes segments, and then under there, they'll become personas. Now, why do you think, and this would be persona 1, persona 2, persona 3, and persona 4, right? Sometimes persona could also mean, you might hear tribe or target demographic, you know, all those things. it's interchanged, but I like personas target. But you start off high and then you drill down a little bit to maybe 4 personas. Now, you could have more than 4 personas. That's very possible, but it's harder to market to more than 4 personas because we're talking about spending money, right? If you had $100 to spend and you have 4 personas, you can evenly spend that 25, 25, 25, 25, or you can spend it 50, 30, right? 10, 10. It's all going to be based on how much weight you give that particular persona, so you can balance that out a little bit. So personas are a group of individuals that will act and behave the same way, that will like your product the same way. So for example, in this class, we have a group of individuals that want to learn about digital marketing. Okay, that would be sort of up here, right? Then I break it down. I have a group of individuals that want to learn about digital marketing, male and female. That could be over here. Then I could break that down, all the individuals who want to learn about digital marketing, who are male, who are doing it because they run their own business or are doing it because they want to do better at their job, right? So now this persona is all the males who want to learn digital marketing to help them grow their business. Now, why do I need to know that? I need to know that because that persona, all the males who want to learn digital marketing to want to grow their business, has a different need than the persona who this one is, all the males who want to learn digital marketing to help their company or help be better at their job. That's a different need, right? One, you want to push your company to grow. The other one, you want to push your involvement in the job that you have. Similar, but not exact, right? So that's why you want to know this who, because this who breaks down to lower targets. Now we get to the why. Now the why. Why do they want to buy my product? Why do they want to buy my product? What is that? Because of the difference? Is that because of the service? And all that information is sort of going to come into why, right? Why us? Now, what's going to happen here is, as a brand, you are making a promise, a brand promise. You're making a brand promise. Now, that brand promise has to be kept to that consumer. So this is really a relationship. We're building a relationship here. Every consumer we get is a relationship. In fact, it's almost like a love story, right? Because if I can get you to fall in love with me, then you will buy from me. And that's the key. Because when we want a conversion, and we're going to talk about conversion here in a minute, conversion is when someone goes online and makes a sale. We want that to happen one time. One time we're high-fiving each other, that's great, that's good, but one time is not going to grow your business. This has to happen 5 times. And the only way someone comes back and buys from you again is if they start to fall in love with you, right? They have to fall in love with you, which means your customer service has to be good, your product has to be good, the way you handle things have to be good. When you buy something online, right? Who bought something recently? Anybody online, right? Normally you buy something online. Well, what are 3 things that can happen online? The first thing that can happen online is nothing. You buy it, you get it, you open it up, you use it, whatever it is, you put it away, and you never think about it again. The opposite of that is you get it, and now you have an upside down face because you're not happy, right? The product is horrible, you can't believe you spent the money, you would never spend that money again. All those reasons make that product not worthy. You give them negative stars. The opposite of that is true. You made somebody happy. They love the product, they love the service. You give them, there's 5 stars involved, right? They're so happy, they're gonna give you 5 stars. They're gonna tell everybody about you, and you're gonna grow your business. So now they go from buying that 1 time to 2, 3, 4, and 5 times. Why? Because now they're connected here and you made them happy. That's the key. So we have to connect all these components. All these dots have to be connected. And it all starts out with defining what our product and what our service is, making sure we know what makes us unique and different, understanding who that target is. So we have to break it down into target segments and then personas. And we'll uncover a bunch of this over the next few weeks. And then the why. What is that promise we're making? And are we keeping that promise? And then how do we convert these customers because we want them to fall in love with us? And then following up to make sure that they're getting what they need. That's really the key here, okay? That's really important. So that's sort of the process. Now, when we think about the analytics, how do we know if this target is right? How do we know if we're keeping the promise? How do we know if these customers are happy? Well, quickly we can see by the ratings, right? If we're getting a 5-star review or not, so that's part of the understanding if they're happy or not. But then we can also see the analytics that are coming into our website through Google, through social, through customer reviews. All that is data that we can collect. Now we can start understanding what that customer is saying all about us, and we can start reading that and seeing that. So when we say who's that target, if we have a new product or a new service, we have an estimate. We know, generally speaking, who's going to buy skateboards. We have an idea based upon the research that we do, because before we did all this, we did some research way up here that's going to tell us some of this data. Now we're connected, we built our website, we got our website up and we're connected. Now we have the data coming into our website, and Google is giving us the breakdown of who these people are, where they live, what their age is, what their likes are, what their behavior is. We're seeing that also on social media. So now we might have built a persona profile, but now we're getting the data and we're starting to check the boxes saying, yep, that's exactly the way we thought it was going to go. Or we'll say, no, that is not working out the way we thought. So now we have to rearrange some of our marketing because it's not on target. That data will tell us that, and that's what we're seeing. So here's what the process is. The process is simple. It's a cycle, it's a circle, right? So the way it works is 4 basic components. The first part is I want to make a plan. What is my plan to get to market? What is my plan to get to my customer? We have to start brainstorming, thinking about that plan. We're doing all the research. The research, remember, research is going to be all the way up here. That's part of this. And there's a whole bunch of different things around the research, but now we make a plan. So now we put together that plan, and then we create the strategy to execute that plan. So now we're creating the strategy. Under that strategy, we have things like tactics and goals, right? So that's all part of the strategy that we're building. Then, after we have that all set, we execute. So now we go ahead and execute this. Let's rewrite that so it's right. Okay? And then what happens after we execute? How do we know if we hit the plan or not?
Follow up, evaluate.
Evaluate. Now we have to measure, right? And now we measure. So that is where your analytics come in. Now your analytics actually come in all the way through this whole process, because you're using analytics to plan, you're using analytics to do the strategy, and you're even using analytics sometimes to execute. But now we're measuring. And then we start the process all over again, because what happens? We plan, we create the strategy, we execute, and we measure. Oh, okay, now we know what we need to do better. We'll replan, re-strategize, get the new execution out, and measure again. So it's a process. It's always a continuous process. If you don't continue this process, you're eventually going to stop, you're going to stall somewhere, and you're not going to be able to grow the business. In fact, in some cases, some businesses will grow, and then they sort of flatline. And when they flatline, at least in most cases that I've seen, what they're doing is they stop this process. Somehow they just decided to just stay here, which is okay. You can stay on a flat level as long as you want, providing you're profitable. But to get to the next level, you have to plan strategy, create strategy, execute, and then go out and measure again. And that's going to help you bump up, bump up, and bump up. That's how you grow. So this whole process of understanding who and where your customer is happens through a 4-step continuous process of planning, creating strategy, executing, and measuring. And all this is tied into that. And this is where we bring in the marketing mix, the 4 Ps. Remember that? Product, place, promotion, and price. We tie that into here, and that's how we understand what's going on. So, the website, and let's say, imagine the website is a house, right? In the middle of this giant grassy field. Just because you put a website up doesn't mean people are going to come to it. But now you have a road. Okay, you have a domain name, and you have a road going to your website. So now people can find it. They can type it in, ProfessorKen'sWebsite.com, or maybe you do some social media, they find it that way. So these are the roads into the website. We call these channels, or roads going into the website. So what do you think is going to happen the more channels you have going into your website?
The more traffic from this.
Absolutely, the more traffic. Right, and the more traffic means the more opportunity to get more business, right? So we want to build successful channels going into that website. Some of these channels could be your social media, some of them could be like influences, some of them could be direct, some of them could be organic, some of them could be paid media, right? So we can build a lot of different channels to get into our website. That's why a perfect balanced plan includes everything. You can't, I guess you can have a successful website just doing one thing versus the other, but if you do everything, your odds of improving that traffic is higher. And it's all about impressions. We'll talk about that funnel. It's all about looking at bringing people in. The more people you bring in, the better opportunity you have to convert. Think of it like this, right? This is the funnel, and the funnel, the top part of the funnel is up here. We want all these people coming in here like this. The more people that come in here, the more they get down to here, which is your sale. That's your conversion. You have to have people coming in order to get to that sale. And there's a percentage of such that you gotta wait. But if not enough people are coming, you're not gonna get to a strong enough bandwidth in order to get enough conversions. That's gonna be the key, all right? That's the idea.